The Galactic Council citadel was built to intimidate. Suspended above the pale clouds of Oryx 5, it shimmered with cold metallic brilliance, a fortress of diplomacy where empires rose and fell through words rather than weapons. Today, the air inside its grand chamber felt charged, as if the entire structure sensed the storm brewing among its occupants. Rows of floating platforms curved upward in spiraling tiers, each hosting delegates of a different species. Soft, phosphorescent symbols drifted through the air, identifying sectors and alliances. But no one studied the displays. Their attention had narrowed to one place, the central platform reserved for the human delegation. Rumors had spread like wildfire across the chamber since dawn. Humans had refused pre-negotiation briefings, cancelled courtesy visits, and rejected offers of mediation. That alone would have startled the council. Humanity rarely ignored procedure. But the real panic came from the whispers that followed. They plan to walk out. Humans never walk out. If they do, something catastrophic is coming. Commander Arlen Cade felt hundreds of eyes on him as he stepped onto the human platform. He moved with disciplined calm, though tension coiled beneath his skin. His uniform, dark navy with silver accents, marked him both ambassador and strategist. The Council had never forgiven humanity for combining those roles. They preferred diplomats who couldn't also command fleets. Cade scanned the chamber. He noted details instinctively: species alliances, body language, the subtle shifts among the Council Guard. Every indicator pointed to the same conclusion: they expected humanity to submit today. He exhaled slowly. Not today. A resonant vibration filled the chamber as the High Speaker's dais floated forward. Speaker Vorkath Sealer descended into view, a towering, bioluminescent figure whose translucent skin pulsed with cold blue light. His voice rolled across the hall like a blade dragged over stone. Humans of Soul, he began. The Council presents its final proposal for stabilizing your expansion. You will adhere to Expansion Quota 7 and suspend colonization efforts for 50 cycles. Old sectors will be reviewed. Violations will result in sanctions. Delegates murmured approval. The speaker let the moment settle before continuing. The Council has been patient. Young species often require guidance. Compliance is not optional. Cade kept his expression still, though something dark tightened behind his eyes. Every word from Vorkath echoed the same imperial intent the Council had wielded for centuries: control cloaked as guidance. He reminded himself to breathe. Losing composure now would hand the Council the advantage they craved. Vorkath's gaze narrowed. Representative Cade, humanity may respond. Cade stepped forward. Lights brightened around him, illuminating a single man standing against the weight of 1,000 civilizations. Before speaking, he replayed the past years in a lightning-fast sequence: frontier colonies suffering sabotage disguised as accidents, Council envoys blocking human access to key systems, ships disappearing near border sectors with no investigation. Behind every incident, political pressure mounted against humanity's rapid ascent. His voice cut through the chamber. Humanity has reviewed Quota 7. Vorkath lifted his chin, expecting a resigned acceptance. Cade didn't give him one. We reject it. Gasps rippled across the platforms. Species that prided themselves on emotional restraint twisted in alarm. A chorus of translators struggled to keep pace with the uproar. Vorkath stiffened. Your refusal is noted. You will reconsider under advisement. Cade shook his head. There is nothing to reconsider. The chamber fell abruptly silent. Even the background hum of the Citadel's atmospheric stabilizers seemed to dim. Vorkath's bioluminescent patterns flickered, a sign of irritation. Ambassador Cade, you misunderstand. The Council's decision is absolute. And humanity's decision, Cade replied, is final. Behind him, every human delegate rose simultaneously. No hesitation. No uncertainty. A unified motion so precise it startled even their allies. The humans aligned in formation on the platform, faced the speaker, and bowed with a gesture of respect, one last courtesy. Then they turned and walked out. Total silence followed them, heavy and suffocating. For a moment, the entire chamber forgot to breathe. When the council finally reacted, it was chaos. Dozens of species shouted warnings. Others demanded immediate sanctions. Security teams rushed to reposition, unsure whether to escort the humans or detain them. A nearby cluster of delegates hissed frantically in their native tongue. They cannot abandon negotiations. Humans do nothing without purpose. What are they planning? Vorkath thundered above the noise. Return to order. Their departure is meaningless. Humans lack the authority to reject council law. But even he heard the tremor in his own voice. Cade and his delegation moved through the Citadel corridors with military precision. Their steps echoed, steady and composed. They did not speak until they reached the external balcony overlooking Oryx 5. The wind was sharp and cold. Cade stepped forward, activated the broadcast node, and transmitted a message across all council frequency bands. Every delegate, every civilian channel, every news stream received the signal instantly. Cade's face appeared in perfect clarity, quiet, resolute, unshakably calm. This is Commander Arlen Cade of the United Worlds of Humanity. He paused only a heartbeat. We are suspending all negotiations with the Galactic Council until corruption within its ranks is exposed. We will not accept directives that threaten our sovereignty. His eyes hardened. And we will not bow. The transmission ended. For several seconds, the galaxy held its breath. News networks scrambled to interpret the message. Civilizations far from the Citadel erupted into speculation. Some cheered, others panicked. Old powers whispered of war. New civilizations whispered of hope. Cade turned toward his team. Prepare the embassy. We'll need full operational readiness. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Maraholt, nodded sharply. Defense grid calibration is underway. Frontier fleets are repositioning as planned. Cade appreciated her discipline. Humanity had trained its representatives to handle crises with calm intensity. They would need that now. As they moved deeper into the human embassy, its titanium walls thrummed with energy. Holographic tactical maps flickered to life. Analysts coordinated with naval intelligence. No one spoke of fear, they spoke only of strategy. Cade paused before entering the command center. Through a narrow viewport, he watched the Citadel's endless architecture glint in the sunlight. For the first time in decades, humans were not playing by the Council's rules. They wanted us compliant, he thought. Predictable. Contained. He straightened. They're about to learn what happens when they push too far. Lieutenant Holt approached. Commander, Council emergency session has begun. They're labeling the walkout a destabilizing act. Let them, Cade replied. We didn't break stability. We just stopped pretending the Council maintained it. She allowed herself a thin smile. You know this terrifies them. It should. Cade stepped into the command center as systems came online, and the weight of what had begun settled around him. This wasn't rebellion. This wasn't war. It was the moment humanity finally stood without compromise. And the galaxy felt the shift. The human embassy's command center thrummed with precise movement, as if every officer inside understood the significance of the moment. Large holographic displays cast shifting blue light over the polished floor, outlining maps of active sectors, fleet positions, and council reaction patterns. Analysts worked in silence broken only by short, crisp confirmations. Commander Arlen Cade stood at the central console, watching a live feed from the council chamber. Delegates were shouting across platforms. Vorkatha's voice boomed as he attempted to restore order, his bioluminescent markings flaring with irritation. Lieutenant Maraholt approached, her expression sharp. Council's emergency committees are assembling. They've already drafted sanctions. Cade didn't turn. Predictable. They always punish dissent. And they're calling your broadcast a destabilizing act. Truth is dangerous for institutions built on convenience. He tapped the feed off and focused on the star map now floating before him. Humanity's frontier fleets were repositioning exactly as planned. Defensive arcs, no aggression, but firm enough to send a message. Humans had always prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. Today, only preparation mattered. A calm alert blinked at the corner of the console. Holt frowned. Encrypted. Not one of ours. Open it. A projection materialized, faint, flickering, as if the sender feared even being seen. The figure was slender, exoskeletal, and visibly shaking. Large, glossy eyes darted around nervously. Ambassador. Cade? The alien whispered. Cade's attention sharpened. Identify yourself. I am Rix. Administrative Adjunct to Council Resource Inspection Unit. The alien swallowed hard, mandibles clacking. I have information humanity needs. Holt stepped forward. State your purpose. Rix looked around again, panicked. Not here. They monitored the channels. I can't speak through this link. Meet me in Substructure Corridor 7L, immediately. The projection cut out. Holt raised an eyebrow. Possible trap. Possible truth. Cade deactivated the console. If the Council is corrupt, their lowest ranks will know the cracks first. Security detail? No. We go alone. Too much attention otherwise. Holt nodded, though tension tightened her posture. I'll prep sidearms. Non-lethal only, Cade added. They left through one of the embassy's auxiliary exits, moving into the Citadel's industrial arteries, a maze of service corridors few dignitaries ever saw. Pipes lined the walls, humming with power distribution. Steam drifted from pressure vents. This was the Citadel stripped of its polish, a reminder that beneath the ornate diplomatic facade was a fortress that survived on machinery and secrecy. Corridor 7L stretched ahead, dim and rarely patrolled. At its far end, the trembling figure of Mrix emerged from behind a support column. Cade approached slowly. We're here. Mrix flinched at the echo of his voice. They will kill me if they find out. Then speak quickly, Holt said. Mrix extended a small data sphere. Files. Records. Internal directives. You must see them. Cade accepted the sphere, feeling the faint vibration of the encrypted lock. What do these contain? The Council controls frontier conflicts, Rix whispered. They direct mercenary factions, sabotage young colonies, and divert minerals from developing worlds. Humanity has been a primary target. You expanded too quickly. They fear you. Cade exchanged a glance with Holt. He had suspected sabotage, but not on this scale. Rix continued, voice shaking. They also manipulated mission votes. Species who resist are punished. Those who obey are drained slowly. Why bring this to us? Cade asked. Because the Council is breaking, Rix said. And when it collapses, I won't survive unless someone powerful knows I tried to help. The sound of distant metallic footsteps echoed through the corridor. Holt drew her weapon. We have incoming. Rix panicked. I must go. Stay hidden, Cade warned. Rix disappeared into a maintenance vent just as a pair of Council enforcers turned the corner. They scanned the empty corridor, unaware of the exchange that had just taken place. Cade and Holt kept walking calmly, sidearms concealed, until they passed the guards without confrontation. Only once they were out of sight did Holt whisper. We need to verify the data. Agreed. Back at the embassy, Cade placed the data sphere into a secure decryption cradle. The holographic interface blossomed with unfamiliar scripts, layered encryption, and time-stamped reports dating back decades. Holt monitored the console as the first documents decrypted. Commander, she pointed to a record flagged as priority red. Look at this. The projection showed schematics of human colonies marked with coded annotations. Abbreviations identified sabotage attempts disguised as navigational malfunctions. Another file revealed intercepted Council communications ordering proxy forces to attack human outposts and blame independent raiders. Cade pressed his hand to his forehead for a moment. This is systematic. That's not all, Holt said quietly. There are other species listed. Dozens. Some have been struggling for centuries and never understood why. Cade exhaled sharply, fury tempered into icy clarity. This wasn't political pressure, it was engineered instability. The Council had manipulated entire civilizations under the guise of unity. Prepare a summary for immediate broadcast to our frontier colonies, Cade said. They need to know we were right to walk out. Holt nodded. And for the galaxy? Not yet. We release enough to warn, not enough to expose our source. The complete files will be our leverage. An alert flashed across the console. The feed switched to a shaky transmission from a remote human settlement. Distress alarms blared behind the speaker. This is Haven Outpost 9. Unknown vessels attacking. Council transponder codes. Repeat, Council ships are. Static swallowed the message. Holt's face hardened. Vorkath escalated fast. He always planned to. Cade moved to the strategic console. Activate defensive protocols. Redirect patrol groups Sita and Rilland to Haven's corridor. No aggression unless fired upon. Yes, sir. Cade's pulse remained steady. He had been trained for crisis, but this felt different. The Council wasn't acting rationally, they were acting like a tyrant caught in a lie. Commander, Holt said, what's our next step? Cade glanced at the star map, then at the encrypted files still unfolding in waves of damning detail. We expose them, he said. Piece by piece. She nodded. Understood. Cade activated the public broadcast channel again, this time sending a short but potent message to the galaxy. We possess evidence of systematic manipulation conducted by the Council. More information will follow. Choose your loyalties wisely. Within minutes, interstellar communication nodes lit up with shock. Smaller civilizations began sharing whispered confirmations of long-suspected interference. A few even signaled quiet support for humanity's stand. The Council chamber feed burst onto the embassy displays again. Delegates shouted accusations, but this time at Vorkath. Some demanded proof of innocence. Others pointed to the growing panic in their home systems. For the first time, the Council no longer looked unified, it looked fractured. Cade watched the chaos unfold, his expression controlled but resolute. Commander, Holt said softly, they're starting to realize they're dealing with a different kind of species. Cade stepped closer to the viewport, watching the Citadel's distant lights flicker. We didn't come here to seize power. We came to survive their decree, he said. But if exposing the truth reshapes the galaxy, so be it. He spoke the words without triumph or bitterness, just certainty. The galaxy had taken its first step toward unraveling the Council's hold. And humanity had lit the fuse. The shuttle descended toward the central halls of the Citadel, gliding between towering metallic pillars that framed the Council's most restricted district. Commander Arlen Cade watched the ascent platforms pass beneath him, each filled with delegates arguing in tight circles. Every species seemed locked in fear or fury. The walkout had been a spark. The evidence had been the fire. Now the Citadel looked ready to ignite. Lieutenant Mariholt piloted the shuttle, her focus unwavering. You're certain walking in alone is the right call? They need to see one human, Cade replied. Not a fleet. Not a threat. A single voice. Council Guard will be on edge. They should be. The shuttle touched down on a narrow landing strip suspended above the main chamber. Holt stayed behind to coordinate embassy defenses while Cade stepped out, greeted by a column of armored enforcers. Their weapons remained holstered, but tension radiated from their rigid stances. A guard captain approached. Ambassador Cade, the Council demands your presence immediately. Cade met the captain's gaze without a hint of hesitation. Lead the way. They escorted him through a series of translucent archways that opened into the Council's heart, a colossal domed chamber lined with tiered platforms. Murmurs died the moment he entered. Delegates who once dismissed humanity now stared at him as if he carried the fate of the galaxy in his hands. Speaker Vorkath stood atop his dais, towering over them all. His bioluminescent patterns pulsed with agitation, but his voice emerged cold and controlled. Human representative. You stand accused of destabilizing the Council, broadcasting false claims, and inciting rebellion among member species. You will retract your accusations immediately. Cade stepped forward until he reached the center of the chamber. The floor beneath him shimmered, activating to project shared visuals to all delegates. I won't retract anything, he said. In fact, you haven't seen the worst of it yet. A wave of unease swept across the chamber. Vorkath leaned forward. Your game's end now. Produce proof or accept judgment. Cade raised a small hollow emitter. Very well. He triggered the projection. The lights dimmed. A three-dimensional display expanded above the chamber, a map of Council space. Red markers pulsed near the borders of human territory. As the image sharpened, expressions around the room shifted from confusion to shock. This, Cade said, is your secret fleet. The image resolved further, rows of Council warships hidden in an unregistered staging zone, weapons charged, engines primed. Several delegates recoiled. Vorkatha's voice cracked with sudden alarm. This is fabricated. Cade didn't look at him. We intercepted the fleet's encrypted directive. Prepare suppression maneuver against unauthorized human expansion. Your words, Speaker. Your signature. Whispers erupted across platforms, some fearful, some furious. Councils who once trusted Vorkath turned on him with suspicion. A reptilian delegate shouted, You planned a military strike without consulting the chamber? Another snapped. We were told humanity escalated the conflict. You hid this fleet. Vorkath tried to reassert control, but his voice was lost beneath the rising tide of outrage. Cade let the uproar surge, then cut it off by activating the next file. Screens lit up across the chamber with rows of classified Council reports, manipulated frontier skirmishes, resource extractions disguised as aid missions, the suppression of developing species through orchestrated instability. Each entry bore timestamps, signatures, and internal communications. Delegates stared in stunned silence. You've been fed a narrative designed to keep you compliant, Cade said. These records show the Council controlling who grows and who falls. Humanity was only the latest target. Vorkatha's luminescent skin dimmed with rage. This is treason. Against the Council. Against unity. No, Cade replied, voice steady. This is truth. The speaker attempted to activate his personal command node, but a security lock flashed red. Someone had cut his access. Allies had abandoned him faster than he expected. A cluster of delegates rose. One of them, a silver-plated avian elder, addressed the chamber. We demand an immediate investigation. These files cannot be ignored. Another added, if even a fraction is real, the Council has abandoned its founding principles. The room spiraled into panic. Cade took the moment to send a discreet signal to halt. Within seconds, human defensive fleets across the border activated Sovereign Shield, shifting to full alert positions. It wasn't an attack. Every human ship maintained strict non-aggression zones. But to the galaxy, the message was unmistakable. Humanity will not be ambushed. A Council guard approached Vorkath, whispering urgently. Whatever message he delivered pushed the speaker past the edge. His patience broke. Enough! Vorkath roared. Arrest him! Guards surged forward. Before they reached Cade, a blast shook the far end of the chamber. A shockwave rattled the platforms. Alarms wailed. Cade's jaw tightened. He knew that sound, an explosive breaching charge. Holt's voice echoed through his calm. Commander, Council strike team attempted to breach the embassy. They've been neutralized, non-lethal countermeasures only. Your orders? Cade didn't glance at the guards still advancing. Broadcast their attack attempt. Publicly. Now. Within seconds, every delegate's display lit up with live footage of armored Council operatives attempting to storm the human embassy. The recordings showed defensive drones immobilizing them without a single lethal strike. Delegates froze, horror spreading. Even those who had supported Vorkath stared at the footage with disbelief. Cade projected his voice across the chamber. They attacked our embassy while we stood here in good faith. While I spoke these truths, Does that look like a council concerned with stability? Vorkath's skin pulsed wildly, fear hidden beneath fury. You forced our hand. No, Cade cut in. You exposed yourself. Delegates turned against the speaker in full force. You endangered all of us. You abused council authority. Remove him. Call for immediate suspension. The chamber spun into a political storm unlike anything the Citadel had seen in centuries. Cade stepped forward, his voice slicing clean through the chaos. Speaker Vorkath Sealer, he said, your authority is broken. Your secrets are out. The galaxy will decide your fate, not humanity. Vorkath glared at him with pure venom. You've doomed us all. No, Cade replied quietly. I've given the galaxy a choice. The guards who had once moved to arrest him now hesitated, unsure whom they should obey. Cade walked toward the exit without rushing, passing Vorkath as the speaker's luminescent markings flickered with a mix of rage and dread. For the first time, Vorkath looked small, not because Cade had diminished him, but because truth had stripped him of the power he had wielded in shadows. Holt's voice reached him again through the calm. The galaxy is watching your every step. Good, Cade said. He paused at the threshold, turning back toward the chamber. His final words carried across every platform, every species, every listener frozen between fear and awakening. This was your first blow, Speaker. The next one will be our truth. And it will end you. Cade stepped out as chaos erupted behind him, the council unraveling under the weight of its own deception. The shift had begun. And humanity now stood at the center of a galaxy ready to change.